Hey everyone, welcome to Awareness with Ashley. My name is Ashley Stewart. I share a first hand experience of what it's like living with idiopathic intracranial hypertension. You'll hear me call this IIH and migraines. I use my own experience to share what living with IIH and migraines is really like. Hello everyone. I am wanting to do a requested video actually on this concept of the spoon theory, because although I've talked about this, I don't think I've actually gone through and actually explained this scenario very well. I've come up with some notes and I'm going to be taking you through this on how I would sit down with someone and take them through this exercise. I don't think people really realize how much effort it can take to make it look like we're normal. So I've actually come up with a few examples here. And I want to take you through a couple of different scenarios because I think this will be really helpful in the end. For those of you who aren't aware, the spoon theory was first used by another person to explain what it's like trying to manage fatigue with chronic illness. And although I actually don't often anymore have as many problems with energy as what I used to, I still actually have this apply to me. So I still actually do deal with some, side effects, of still having some limited energy. The spoon theory is just a way of explaining this using basically a finite value. You can do this, I think, in multiple ways, but I'm going to take you through how I would actually explain this to one of my loved ones. So I've come up with some examples of some of the things that I do every day. These are kind of more just the kind of everyday things. It's a summer version as well because I have the garden in this as an example. I've come up with about of an approximation of how many spoons I would have on a day in 3 different scenarios. So one is like, I'm feeling what I call my normal. So I'm feeling relatively good. And I would even call this, or I've referred to this in the past as my baseline. These daily spoons, I find even now still do vary actually quite a bit day to day and depending on how I'm actually feeling. There's a difference between when I'm feeling pretty good compared to like when I have my period. And I mean, I think all of us ladies, or those of us who menstruate, if you want to be more politically correct, we deal with a lowered amount of energy as it is around our period. I think that's why when I went on my meditation retreat, I absolutely loved the fact that I was menstruating during that, because it actually allowed me to relax in the proper way that is kind of meant to be relaxed in that case. With my period, I tend to have fewer spoons as it is, but throw in the fact that I'm usually feeling worse during this time of the month, just overall with my migraines, is also another important consideration. And then I put just a rougher day, so like I'm having migraine symptoms. It could be from something like a low pressure system is causing the barometric pressure to drop, or I'm not doing so well with maintaining my lifestyle or diet, or there's like so many different factors that can go into migraines that it's really, you almost need a separate video for that list as well, which I think I do actually have on the channel. Just type in Ashley Stewart and, migraine symptoms, I think, and it should come up. Unlike before, I would actually need to physically almost have a nap or to sleep in order to regain or gain those spoons back. So, how I say, I like to use a battery example with this, because it's like you start out with, let's say you're at the start of your day, you have 85 or 80% of your battery, kind of like a device that's reached kind of close to the end of its lifetime. And then let's say you do something that drains it down to 60%, right? But then you want to go back up. Well, the only way to do that is to rest or recharge. Now, unlike with the spoons, it's kind of more fixed. I find that my battery example works a little bit better because I can actually recharge to a certain point now. When I was at my worst though, it would take a nap or other types of, resting in order for me to regain essentially the spoons. So if I take a proper rest, I can actually stretch what I consider a good day, which I actually labeled as 12 spoons. And with proper rest, I can actually turn a 12 spoon day into 16 to 18, which is, I would say, almost the ideal thing for me as of this point. And not only does it vary upon how I feel when I wake up, but it can vary on what I can do around work based upon what I'm doing at work as well. I'm so conditioned now at my job that as long as I'm not completely going crazy, I've been conditioned to be on my feet. I've been conditioned to be physically active there. And I actually like it because it does keep me in a little bit better shape than if I was just at a desk. Now, that being said, some of my stuff is quite of a mental task as well. Although I may not be doing something that's as physical, if I'm doing mental work and managing migraine symptoms, it can be just as hard to manage those mental struggles as it is the physical struggles. So it's not, the spoons don't just apply to physical things. I think it'll be easier to come up with physical examples, but the mental stuff, the thing that does take the brain work when you're dealing with headache conditions like IIH and migraines, is going to be as much of a factor. Want to go through what I came up with, because you can take this in so many different scenarios if you come up with your own list and what you think it takes you, because this is going to vary quite a bit, not only depending with where you are in your own journey, but how you're feeling in the moment as well. So I came up with a list of activities and chores that I tend to do every day, and I want to put this on the podcast, so I'm going to explain this. But I think for those of you on the podcast, it's going to be the most beneficial for you to come and actually watch the video on YouTube or one of the other platforms. Obviously, when I go to work, that's going to kill a majority of my spoons in the day. I think I put it at 8, which is probably, out of 12, is honestly quite accurate. Although I tend to do like the get ready for work, shower before work, all of those things that can take 1 to 2 spoons and it can add up. It comes into factor in the period after work. So for example, right now, I'm actually just off of a shift not that long ago. So filming this video is actually taking more out of me because I just got off of work, even though I didn't work a full day today. So I hope that kind of makes a little bit more sense. Dishwasher, 2 spoons, make bed, 3 spoons. And the reason why I put make bed actually at more is because when you make a bed and you have your bed in a corner, it can actually be a lot harder to make your bed. It can be a lot more physical of a task. So I would say it's 2 to 3. But it's going to depend on, like, if you have a bed in the middle of the room, I don't think it's going to be as hard as if it's in a corner and you're, like, fighting with the corner sheets. Garden, or this is, like, an example of, like, weeding or working out in the garden. I put it as 5 spoons. It's going to be very, very close to an actual work day. So, obviously, I'm not going to go to work and do weeding in the garden on the same day. That would completely wipe me and probably knock me out for a couple of days. Shower, 2 to 3. People actually mistake this for the fact that they don't realize that it's something that we actually have to take into consideration. Having, chronic illness, showering can take a lot out of you. Showering will also depend not only on you, but I find that showering can take more out of me when I'm not feeling well. I actually used to be surprised at how much I would feel after a shower when I was at my worst. Like, it was horrible how much energy it took out of me. So on a worse day, or if I'm feeling worse, the shower is going to vary. I put it as 2 because average, I would say it's 2. But if I'm feeling a lot worse, it's going to be a lot more spoons. Get ready for work, things like putting on deodorant, brushing hair, putting my hair up, which putting the hair up can really hurt actually if I'm having a bad day. Brushing teeth, all of that kind of hygiene type stuff. 1 spoon, I would say. It doesn't really faze me anymore. Although before, I would say it might. If this is something that you do actually find does affect you, it may be something that you have to put into your spoons in your example. Like I said, this is going to vary a lot between people and depending on where you are in your particular journey. Editing video, 2 to 3 usually. It's a lot of mental work depending on the video. It's actually why I tend to focus on live streams now, because there's so much less editing. Filming video can be up there, so I have it as 5 spoons, but actually using this little gimbal thing, it hasn't been too bad yet. I have make a lunch because there are a few different times that I actually have to take a lunch with me. This is 1 to 2. It usually doesn't take as much effort for me. Making a lunch doesn't take as much effort actually, because I tend to lean a lot on leftovers, so it's not like I'm doing any extra cooking or anything. And then general cleaning can be up there again with like garden work. It can take a lot depending on what you're doing when you're cleaning. So like washing floors, doing laundry, all of that kind of stuff, depending on not only where you are, but like what you're doing, it's going to vary quite a bit. Like I said, daily spoons, generally average here is about 12. And again, it's going to depend on the day. With periods, I would say it's around 9 to 10. And let's say with a period, and then I've got those other factors such as, the weather or other things that are kind of bubbling up and making my bucket a lot more full, it's going to vary significantly in those particular situations. So I actually did come up with a scenario here. So I have work, cook, shower, make lunch. So let's say I had a work day that I need to make a lunch, and I had to shower on that particular day before work, and then I have to come home and cook and make a meal, which, I mean, this isn't totally out there. And on a good day, so I put 8 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 15. So obviously my daily spoons, it's over already. But let's say that I get up, I do my meditation. My meditation doesn't really take any spoons. My meditation is so natural that I don't consider taking any spoons at all, actually. I usually shower after my meditation, so that's 2 spoons, so now I'm down to 10. But then I rest, and these days, I can bring it back up to 12 or 13 with enough rest. This particular situation is why I tend to give myself a lot of rest from the point that I have a shower to the point where I'm going to work. So this is why I like to have my time in the morning, really take my time, because it allows me to replenish those spoons. Now, if I'm trying to do all of this and it's a bad day, this is a little bit of a rougher situation for sure. So I will wait a little bit of period again before making a lunch. It's usually about, 45 minutes, an hour before I have to be at work that I'll make my lunch. And just to allow myself to rest and all of that. And then go to work, come home, have to cook a meal for supper, right? Or dinner, as you guys call it in the US. So, although I've obviously went over my spoons for the day with 15, because I've given myself a break, I'm okay. But if you try to do that all in a row without rest, and let's say you were only taking your breaks at work, it would be not a good situation. Because I'm able to replenish, unlike before, where I didn't get that same amount of leeway from my body. Part of this I think is conditioning now, but part of it is I think I've just figured out how to work with it basically. And so that's why I get up early, I take a lot of breaks because I need it in order to be able to stretch the spoons out. Let's say it's a rougher day though. I will be probably in a little bit of pain and not feeling as well by the time I get home for sure. And it'll be like as easy of a supper as I can make it kind of thing, because I just don't have the energy to cook an elaborate meal. You could use this list or come up with your own and do the same thing. People don't see how much effort it can take to actually deal with some of these things. I hope that helps a little bit, kind of explain how you can not only do this exercise yourself, but what I have to manage in order to be able to do everything that I do. I think a lot of people looking at me don't realize the amount of work, and it's not really planning, but it is kind of to a point that goes into how I manage my day. Even still now, I have leeway compared to what I did. And this kind of, demonstrates physically to me why I wasn't able to work for so long too. But I just wish people would understand the work that goes into managing just an average day, where most people, the things that you're doing, you don't even think about it. Now imagine if I had kids and after work, not only am I cooking, but I'm running kids around to different activities. That would completely wipe me out. I come home, guys, and I'm pretty wiped, honestly. I'm used to it, so it may not show it that way, but that's the honest truth. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you give it a like. If you're enjoying my content overall, please hit the subscribe button, all of that lovely YouTuber stuff. If you're on Facebook, make sure that you hit the like and follow. And Come join the supporter tribe on Locals. Oh, podcast, make sure you subscribe and leave a review. Other than that, thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps get the show out there. Hope to see you again next week for our next episode. Bye, everyone.